The champagne hadn't even been poured when Marcus grabbed the microphone. My brother, 3 years older, perpetually confident, stood at the head table wearing his expensive suit and that smile he used when closing deals. The reception hall went quiet. 200 guests turned toward him. My new wife Sarah squeezed my hand under the table. "I have an announcement," Marcus said, his voice carrying that familiar patronizing warmth. "A wedding gift for my little brother." I felt my stomach tighten. Marcus didn't do gifts. Marcus did leverage. As many of you know, David here has been struggling with that apartment building our grandfather left him. 24 units in the old district. Constant repairs, problem tenants, barely breaking even. He paused for effect. So I took care of it. I sold the property for $4.2 million. The room erupted in gasps. My mother's hand flew to her chest. Aunt Linda actually stood up. Sarah's grip on my hand went white-knuckled. "And because family takes care of family," Marcus continued, pulling envelopes from his jacket, "I'm sharing the proceeds. Everyone here who helped raise David, who supported him through the years, you deserve this." He started distributing envelopes. Thick ones. My parents received theirs first. Dad opened it at the table, his eyes widening. "Marcus, this is $60,000. Each major family member gets that amount," Marcus said. "Cousins get $20,000. Aunts and uncles get $40,000. Consider it my way of honoring the family that raised us both." The applause was deafening. Relatives swarmed Marcus. My mother was crying. Cousin Jennifer was already on her phone, probably looking at cars. Uncle Paul clapped Marcus on the back so hard he stumbled forward. I sat frozen. Sarah leaned close. "David, did you know about this?" "No," I whispered. "And he didn't sell anything." "What?" But I couldn't explain yet. Because Marcus was walking toward our table now, that envelope in his hand, that smile on his face. "For you, little brother," he said, sliding it across the tablecloth until it hit my water glass. "Your share. $1 million. Maybe now you can finally make something of yourself." The room went silent again, waiting for my reaction. My parents watched with tears in their eyes. Marcus stood there, hand extended, waiting for my gratitude. I looked down at the envelope, then at Marcus, then at the 200 people who'd just received checks funded by fraud. "Thank you," I said quietly. "This is very generous." Marcus's smile widened. He shook my hand. The room erupted in applause again. But I saw it. That flicker in his eyes. That moment where he wasn't sure if I was playing along or genuinely didn't know. I was playing along. Because what Marcus didn't know, what he'd never bothered to learn, was that I'd spent 8 years turning that struggling building into something else entirely. The reception continued. Marcus held court at the bar, accepting congratulations. Relatives showed each other their checks. Plans were being made, vacations, home renovations, car purchases. The DJ was playing. People were dancing. Sarah and I slipped away to a quiet corner. "Explain," she said. "Now." "The building isn't struggling," I told her. "It's generating $42,000 monthly. I renovated 16 units over 3 years. Updated the other 8 last year. Occupancy is 98%. I have a waiting list." "Then how did he?" "He forged documents. Had to. The only way to sell property is to fake ownership papers. He must have found old deeds, created fake signatures, convinced some accomplice to pretend to be a buyer." "David, that's fraud. That's criminal." "I know." I pulled out my phone. "Which is why I'm documenting everything." I took photos. The checks being distributed. Marcus's triumphant face. Relatives posting on social media about their windfall. Every piece of evidence showing premeditation, distribution, and celebration of proceeds from a crime Marcus didn't realize he'd committed yet. Then the doors opened. 47 people entered the reception hall. Not in wedding attire. In casual clothes, jeans, work shirts, weekend wear. But I recognized every face. Mrs. Chin from 3B. The Rodriguez family from 12A. Old Mr. Patterson from the ground floor corner unit. The Okafor family with their 3 kids. Every tenant from my building. The music stopped. The dancing stopped. 200 wedding guests turned to stare at 47 unexpected arrivals. Mrs. Chin stepped forward holding a wrapped gift. "David, we heard you got married. We couldn't miss it. The room was silent. Confused. Marcus had gone very pale at the bar. The whole building chipped in, Mr. Patterson said, his voice carrying in the quiet. You've been such a good landlord. Fixed my heating in 2 hours last winter. Remember? And when our daughter was sick, you didn't charge late fees for 3 months, Mrs. Rodriguez added. We wanted to do something nice. Young Marcus from 8C, no relation to my brother, grinned. Plus the building's looking great after those renovations. Property values going up. You're making us all look good, landlord. I watched my brother. Watched the exact moment he realized what was happening. Thank you, I said, standing. This means everything. Really. We also brought something else, Mrs. Chen said. She pulled out a manila folder. All 47 units signed this. A thank you card. But also our updated lease agreements. The ones you sent last month? We all signed. Locked in our rates for 2 more years. He handed me the folder. I opened it to show the table. 47 signed leases. All dated last month. All showing my name as landlord and property owner. The silence in that room was profound. Marcus set down his drink. Fully. His hand was shaking. Wait, Aunt Linda said. David, you still own the building? I do, I said. I've owned it for 8 years. Never sold it. Never planned to. But Marcus said. Marcus lied. I looked at my brother. Didn't you, Marcus? His face had gone from pale to gray. David, I can explain. Explain what? How you forged documents to fake a sale. How you convinced someone to pretend to buy my property. How you distributed money you didn't have from a transaction that never happened. My mother stood up. Marcus, what is he talking about? Those checks you're all holding, I continued, voice steady, are backed by nothing. There was no sale. No $4.2 million. No proceeds to distribute. Just fraud. Uncle Paul pulled out his check. Stared at it. This is fake. Worse, I said. It's real. Marcus wrote those checks from his personal accounts. But he doesn't have $3.2 million to cover them. So when you try to cash them Monday morning, the realization rippled through the room. They'll bounce, Cousin Jennifer whispered. Marcus was backing toward the door now. I was trying to help. David, you said the building was struggling. You always complained. I complained 8 years ago, I said. When I was 24 and learning. I haven't complained since I was 26. You just never asked. Never visited. Never cared to learn what I'd actually built. But the family deserves. The family deserves the truth. I pulled out my phone, opened the banking app, showed the screen to the nearest table. This is the building's operating account. Monthly deposits of $42,000. That's rent. Been consistent for 3 years. I swiped to another screen. This is the maintenance reserve. $340,000. That's for repairs, emergencies, capital improvements. Another swipe. This is the business account. $890,000. That's profit accumulation after expenses, taxes, and my modest salary. The room was staring. Not at Marcus anymore. At me. David, my mother said slowly, you're a millionaire? On paper, I said. But I live modestly. I reinvest. I keep rents affordable for good tenants. I built something sustainable, not flashy. I looked at my brother. Which is why you never noticed. You were so busy assuming I was failing that you never checked if I was actually succeeding. Marcus had reached the door. His hand was on the handle. Marcus, stop, my father said. Not loud, but with authority that made my brother freeze. Dad walked over, pulled the envelope from his pocket, opened it, pulled out the check, ripped it in half. I don't want money from fraud, Dad said. And I don't want a son who commits it. One by one, relatives began bringing their envelopes to the head table. Not all of them. Cousin Jennifer pocketed hers and left quickly. 3 uncles tried to slip out. But most, ashamed, confused, angry, returned what they'd received. The pile of envelopes grew. $3.2 million in worthless promises. Marcus stood by the door, shaking. I thought I was helping. I thought. You thought you were smarter, I said. Thought I was weak. Thought you could swoop in and save your pathetic little brother while making yourself look generous. David. Get out. He left. Walked out of my wedding reception. Out of the building. Several relatives followed him, still clutching their envelopes, probably hoping they'd somehow cash them before the truth caught up. The 47 tenants stood awkwardly in the chaos. Mrs. Chin approached. "We didn't mean to cause trouble." "You didn't cause anything," I said. "You revealed everything. Perfect timing, actually." "Should we go?" "Absolutely not," Sarah said, standing beside me. "Your guests now." "DJ, keep playing." Catering set up 47 more places. "We're celebrating." The reception transformed. Half the original guests had left, mostly Marcus's friends, the relatives who'd pocketed checks. But the tenants stayed. And the relatives who'd returned their envelopes stayed, curious now, asking questions about the building, about my work, about the success I'd quietly built. Mr. Patterson cornered me by the cake. "Your brother really tried to steal your building?" "He tried," I said. "But you can't steal something when you don't understand what it is." He thought he was taking a burden. He didn't realize he was attempting to steal a legacy. The week after the wedding, things moved quickly. Monday morning, 12 relatives tried to cash their checks. All bounced. By Monday afternoon, Marcus was being called by angry family members demanding their money. By Tuesday, 3 of them had contacted lawyers. Wednesday, I met with my attorney, Harold Sinclair. I'd been working with him since I bought out my first co-investor 5 years ago. "You have a strong case," Harold said, reviewing the evidence. "Attempted fraud, forgery if he created fake documents, potentially identity theft. The fact that he distributed proceeds from a fake sale makes it conspiracy." "I don't want to destroy him," I said. "I want him to understand. Understanding might require consequences." Thursday, I received a call from the district attorney's office. 3 relatives had filed police reports. The investigation was already underway. Friday, I received a call from Marcus. "They're charging me with fraud," he said. His voice was hollow. "David, I'm sorry. I really thought." "You really thought you were better than me," I said. "Smarter. More capable. The successful big brother saving the failure." "I was wrong. You were blind." I paused. The DA called me too. "They want my statement." "Are you going to press charges?" I sat in my office, the small 1-bedroom apartment I still lived in, the modest space that Marcus had mocked for years while I quietly built wealth. "I already gave my statement," I said. "I told them everything. The fake announcement, the distributed checks, the fraud. I told them I have 47 witnesses and 200 more who saw you distribute the proceeds." Silence on the line. "But I also told them something else," I continued. "I told them I don't believe you intended malice. I think you intended humiliation. You wanted to force me to accept your help, your vision of success. You wanted me dependent on your generosity." "David. So here's what happens. You're going to make restitution to every family member you defrauded. You're going to sell your car, your condo, whatever it takes. You're going to publicly apologize. And you're going to get therapy because your need to feel superior almost destroyed both our lives." "I can't afford." "Then you'll learn what struggling actually means," I said. "What I learned at 24 when Grandpa left me a building I didn't know how to run. What you never had to learn because you always had shortcuts and connections. If I do this, will you ask the DA to drop charges? If you do this, I'll ask the DA to consider probation instead of prison. The charges stick. The record sticks. But you get a chance to rebuild. Just like I did." 3 months later, I sat on the roof of my apartment building, the one Marcus tried to steal, watching the sunset. The building was quiet. Mrs. Chin was cooking. I could smell ginger and garlic. The Rodriguez kids were playing in the courtyard below. Mr. Patterson was reading on his balcony. My phone buzzed. A message from my father. Marcus completed his first restitution payment. $40,000 to his victims. He sold his car. He starts therapy next week. Thank you for giving him a chance. I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I opened my business banking app. The account showed healthy growth. 3 more units had been renovated. The waiting list had grown to 15 families. I'd built something. Not flashy. Not announced. But real. Marcus had tried to steal it because he couldn't see its value. He'd measured success in appearances. Expensive suits, luxury cars, dramatic gestures. He'd missed the quiet accumulation of sustainable wealth, the patient building of community, the slow transformation of failure into legacy. Sarah joined me on the roof, handed me a beer. Thinking about your brother? Thinking about choices, I said. He chose shortcuts. I chose foundation. He chose performance. I chose substance. Do you forgive him? I watched the sun drop below the skyline. I don't need to forgive him. I need him to understand what he tried to destroy. And maybe after he rebuilds his own life the hard way, he will. Below us, the building hummed with life. 47 families. 163 people. A community I'd spent 8 years cultivating while my brother assumed I was failing. You know what's funny? I said. At the wedding when the tenants arrived, that was the first time my family saw me clearly. Not as Marcus's little brother. Not as the guy who inherited a burden. As someone who built something worth protecting. They see you now, Sarah said. They see the building now, I corrected. They see the money. But the tenants? They saw me the whole time. Every repair. Every fair lease. Every time I chose their stability over maximum profit. My phone buzzed again. Mrs. Chin had sent a photo to the building's group chat. Her granddaughter had been accepted to college. The scholarship I'd quietly funded, anonymously through a trust, had come through. Marcus had tried to steal a building. He'd missed the fact that what I'd built couldn't be stolen because it wasn't just property. It was relationships, reputation, trust accumulated over years of showing up, doing the work, caring about people he'd never bothered to see. The sunset faded. The city lights came on. And I sat there, on top of my empire that looked like 24 modest apartments, feeling wealthier than my brother ever had in his expensive condo with his luxury car and his desperate need to prove he was more. I'd won. Not at the wedding when the tenants arrived. Not when the checks bounced. Not even when Marcus was charged. I'd won 8 years ago when I chose foundation over flash. When I decided that real success wasn't about what others saw, but what I built when no one was watching. The account is closed. The family understands now. And I am finally seen, not for what I have but for what I built and who I became building it.